is singer-songwriter, producer, musician, and composer Frank Zappa. Hi, Frank.
Hey.
Tell us what some Tell us what got you into music and some of your earliest influences.
Well, some of my earliest influences, I listened to Edgar Varese and Igor Stravinsky. When I was little, I got Edgar's album and I listened to it over and over and over. And then in high school, I played the drums in the high school band and began writing some of my own classical music while in high school, and joined a band. We played rhythm and blues, and we played at some of the other high school events. And in the evenings, on the weekend, I would have our own dances for the local high school students.
Hmm. Can you tell us about the Steve Allen show? When was it? A little bit about it.
Well, in 1963, I went on the Steve Allen show and I played the bicycle. And I explained to them that I was a composer of musical sounds, and I demonstrated different techniques of making sounds from a bicycle.
That's interesting. So, the formation of the Mother's Invention, the group that you put together. How did you come about forming that group?
Well, a friend of mine, the name of Ryan Collins, called me, and they needed a substitute guitar player because he had gotten into a fight with a guitar player in their band. So I went over and played with them a few gigs and ended up pretty much leading the band, and we played in some different bar scenes, and most of the songs they were playing were pop songs. I didn't want to play pop songs. I wanted to write our own music, and I tried to convince the other players in the band that we needed to write our own music, but the bars would consider us if we wrote our own music. So we lost out on some of the gigs that we had, but eventually we figured out that as long as we played Louie Louie at least once a night and maybe snuck in a couple other popular songs, we could get by with playing some of our own music. So eventually the band became the Mothers of Invention.
Well, what about your first album, some of your other albums? Can you talk about those?
Well, the first album we put together was a double album called Freak Out in 1966. We got the record label through MGM to do the double album Freak Out, and this only happened because the producer came into the Whiskey A Go Go one night when we were playing and just happened to catch one of our pop hits, but he was too busy to realize what our band was all about. So then when we got into the studio, I could see it on his face when he walked into the recording studio that the music wasn't quite what he thought. But Ray Collins and I were able to go through their $30,000 pretty quick, and then after that the Mothers of Invention broke up. But I continued playing with various artists, eventually dropped the name of Invention. So then in 1979 we released our top-selling album, which was Chic Your Booty. It's this particular one right here, and it had the single Dancing Fool on it. We sold over 2 million copies of that album, and then a couple years later, 1982, we came out with Ship Arriving Too Late to Save a Drowning Witch, which had the single Valley Girl that I did with my daughter Moon Unit, and that particular one reached number 32 on the Billboard singles.
I understand that you are a strong advocate for censorship. What are some of your strongest beliefs, and what do you stand for?
I believe in freedom of speech, self-education, and political participation, as well as the abolition of censorship. People should register to vote, and once you're old enough, people should run for office. And I strongly believe in that.
My final question to you is, how do you want to be remembered?
It's not important.
Not important at all?
It's not important. And the people that want to be remembered are people like Reagan and Bush, and they'll spend a lot of money and they'll do a lot of work just to make sure that the remembrance is just perfect.
And Frank Zappa?
I don't care.